Howdy, folks. All right, she's coming down this morning a little bit. Very happy with it. I can see the field kind of greening up again across the road. Oh, here she comes. Getting everything nice and wet. Creating a little more groundwater. Nice. Nice. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now that we established it's been raining lately, there's been a low pressure system moving through the Philippines. Here comes his 13th nervous breakdown. How do I wake up so bubbly in the morning? Because I could, and because I can. And you know what's on the agenda here. Oh, yeah. Too hot to drink right now. Days like this, I don't mind working out. I will do that after my first cup of tea. I've been hitting the weights, little weights I got. A little more than the treadmill, but I got to start doing that too more often. I really do. Gets to the point I sit down in my chair in the living room, and I got the small weights that I'm always doing an exercise with, even when I'm sitting. Even when I'm sitting down watching TV, I got these little lightweight shit. They also do various exercises while I'm even sitting down. So I've been really gung-ho at it lately. I don't let Father Time totally destroy me. I refuse to let that happen. Age can be significant, but it's really just a number. We're all on a time clock, obviously. Some we can't help, and some even you can't help. Your time's coming, so is mine. Let's not get morbid this morning. Okay, it's a good temperature. I could drink my tea, finally. I'm glad to see my regulars are here, and I know your regulars as well. You know, that's who shows up in the morning at this time. Yeah, I've been getting up actually earlier. 3:48. I head in about 9. Do what I need to do. Look at YouTube a little bit. Look up some stuff. About 9:35, I'm ready to just throw the phone down, put it on the charger, and go to bed. Might take 15 minutes to fall asleep. I average my hours. It's still been about 6, pretty steadily. No matter what time I wake up, I'll go to bed, it's still 6 hours. Well, pretty much established that we need more than 6 hours sleep, really. I should. But it is what it is. You gotta take what you can get, unless you wanna medicate yourself, which I don't do anything in regards to that anymore. No, seriously, I don't. I might pop maybe a third of a melatonin now and then. I hardly even do that. Magnesium, though, I do take magnesium before I go to bed. Magnesium citrate helps relax your muscles, and your heart needs it, and you need to convert your calcium and everything else to direct to your bones and all that good stuff. Some people think I'm fanatical about some of the things I do or take, but see, you're not responsible for my body. I'm responsible for it. I got to do what I think is right for me, not what's right for you or what you think I should do. Okay, looks like that little shower is about over. It's still drizzling. Boy, it got so bright within the past 5 minutes. It certainly did. It just got really bright outside. Well, I'd say what I do read a lot of these stories on YouTube. There's a guy, Brian Johnson. You don't know. You may think that's a local Philippines genre guy, but no, just a guy living in California. And he's a high-tech millionaire. He sold a business, made some good money. But this guy is like what you call totally overkill. He has all this equipment, clinical stuff. I mean, you wouldn't believe what this guy has. The guy takes over 101, 113 supplements a day. Not even a fraction of that. But he does other crazy things too, red light therapy. He gets his organs monitored. He even has an ultrasound machine in his house. And what he's been trying to do he's been using himself as a guinea pig and for longevity. And he actually measures everything. You wouldn't believe it, his body functions, improvements in this and that. Supposedly he's at least 4 years younger on his body than his actual age. And that's what he's been trying to prove. But Brian Johnson, he kind of goes, not kind of, he goes over, but he has a staff. He eats certain food that's prepared for him. He's got people doing clinical testing for him. He's got, it's just overkill where he's spending, well, he does travel a bit. He has a book out anyway, but most of the time, I mean, he's home. He has to do, no matter where he goes, probably carries his crew with him. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. And he does this routine and regimen of testing and nutrition and exercise and just trying to use himself as a human guinea pig as to what actually works for longevity, and even has a climate-controlled bedroom, just a bed. He has 2 air filtration filters in there. He doesn't like to keep his door open on the house because when you get the Los Angeles pollution. Oh, he's radical. Now, you want to talk about somebody who's radical. This man called Brian Johnson, look him up. Incredible stuff. In fact, we have something in common, actually. He had a fiance, but obviously this girl ain't my fiance, never would be, to try to sue him for like $9 million. He talked about it. It was a show he put on about a year ago. I just happened to see yesterday. And she called him every name in the book and make accusations for him to ruin his reputation. But as it turned out, as the court and so forth found out, she was a major liar and proven to be wrong. Embarrassing situation for her and her attorney. In fact, the attorney, she had to go to another attorney because the other one got pretty much scolded by the court system for their participation in this effort to try to extort him for $9 million. Well, she never collected. The story had a great ending. But the guy was so cool, though. He could have done so much to her, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He didn't do anything. This was a fiance that he had trusted. Absolutely trusted, but then greed took over. Greed took over. He had to go through 2.5 years of litigation, all kinds of crap. But he got her to get reimbursed $500,000 that he had put out on all this legal shit. She got what she deserved in the end. Got herself entirely embarrassed by her peers. Oh, it's still showering. That's what happens when you lie. When you have a goal to get even with somebody or to make money off somebody in that respect, and it doesn't work out for you. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth afterwards, and then people will see you for who you are. It kind of works against you when you and your lawyer are plotting and planning so the lawyers can make a good paycheck and the woman can make a good paycheck in that situation. It goes on all the time. People trying to extort money off people all the time when they know you got money. Welcome to humanity. God, look at that precious looking rain coming down. Let's see something here. There you go. How precious that is, water. Me, I don't mind. I like the rain, especially when we need it. I remember some of the droughts we've had here since I've lived here. And the rain, the system kind of cools things down. Look at that. Yeah, my railing is pretty fucked up, though. It's rusting out. That's going to be another future project. Nothing of a concern at the moment. That's the least of things I want to take care of around here. Should have gone with something else. I don't know. The whole thing would have to be grinded down, all the chipped paint and down to the bare metal. It's not a job that I'm going to do, that I'm very capable of doing, but it's not something I want to do. It's a highly laborious job. The little bird came over too. Where is he? Ah, he went away. Oh. Where'd he go? Anyway. I've seen that things kind of cooled down in the community a little bit here. And actually, ever since court case came to an end, things have been toned down quite a bit, comparatively, I like that. Works well for me. Actually, speaking of vitamins, I've been very critical of what I've been actually taking, and I'm not taking certain things every day. But there is a set of vitamins that I do take every day. It will continue. Collagen, that's a little questionable, but I do take it for the bone health and skin health and all that. Sometimes I look at my hands and I say, damn, Gilda, that does look like old man hands. Look at the wrinkles. Look at the veins coming out of this fucker. Other days it looks better. As you get older, your skin kind of thins out a little bit, and it kind of comes with age, but you get a loss of elasticity in your skin, collagen, vitamin C loss, and that's why you got to up your vitamin C, but I don't go overboard with it. The most I'll take is 1,000 milligrams, but that doesn't include anything that I might eat that might contain vitamin C, so a lot of people overdo it on that. And, again, you got to balance everything out, because if you had kidney stones, here you go. The absorbic acid and vitamin C can contribute to that, and other things can too. Even certain foods can. So what are you supposed to do? Stop eating, totally stop eating. Start worrying about every little shit that you eat. I'm not that radical. Hell no. I eat chocolate if I can find some good dark chocolate, but it doesn't have as much sugar in it. And it's like one of the most powerful antioxidants, chocolate, dark chocolate, at least 75% cacao, preferably 80, or if you get 100%, you could find that. It costs more, but dark chocolate, not just blueberry, dark chocolate, broccoli, and if you can get the sprouts, that's even more powerful than the broccoli itself. I've never seen any broccoli sprouts. Maybe it's something I should try growing or something. I shouldn't have a problem with that. I know I'm not a health guru in any form. I'm really not a health guru. Because I'd be doing other things right for me, if you know what I'm talking about. So I'm not a total health guru. And I just do what I do as a kind of a bargain brand insurance policy, basically. No more than that. I'm not radical like this guru, this millionaire guru, Brian Johnson. Not at all. What he does is absolutely absurd. I said, I hope you spend some quality time for yourself. He'll measure everything from erections. He'll measure his liver function, heart function, you name it. This guy is monitoring his body because he has he calls it his blueprint. It's his blueprint to better health and longevity. But he's radical, but he's got the money to do that. But it's still, whether he has the money to do that or not, he's not doing anything to enjoy his life at all. I mean, because everything has to do with how many, he has a regimen, gets prepared, he has a whole room full of vitamins, and we are similar in some of the things we take. Most of the stuff that I take, that's what Brian Johnson takes. I didn't learn it from him. Oh no. But coinky dinky, huh? Like I'm on target. I'm still alive, so like I said, I must be doing something right. But generally, everything in moderation is generally the answer to most things. In moderation doesn't mean you can't eat some junk food here and there. You could, but in moderation. But the one thing that's really hard to stay away from, most people, including myself, totally, is some form of sugar. You always get a sweet tooth every now and then. But see, what causes that is when you start eating a lot of sugar, your body kind of it's like like any addiction, your body kind of gets used to your glucose levels, your insulin, all that shit, gets used to that. And then the more your body craves, next thing you know, you're eating more sugar products. It's hard to stay away from them. Even some of the best cereals you could buy on the market that are branded to be totally healthy for you. Good grains, got some protein in it, niacin, it got all kinds of goodies in there. There's always an element of sugar on there. Because they got to sell their product and they got to make it edible, palatable. So there's always going to be salt or sugar in there. It's really hard to stay away from sugar. It really is. If I am hungry enough and I got a sweet tooth and somebody comes in with some muffins or something like that, or one of her daughters comes here and she brings some donuts from Cebu or something, I'm probably going to have at least one of them, But you got to use that restraint. I haven't eaten bread in 5 days, and I always eat some bread. Oh, excuse me, yeah, I did. Oh, I did have a flour tortilla, though, last night. She made some stuff in a tortilla. But regular bread, I've not had in 5 days. The kids eat it. They all eat it in the morning. Coffee, it's a Filipino thing. They like to have bread with their coffee. It's really a filler. Where maybe some Filipinos can't afford to have a solid breakfast, but they will always have bread and coffee. They'll dunk their bread in the coffee and all that. That's pretty common. And she does that too. But I tend to eat maybe too many carbs. And you need carbs, but if you overdo it, the carbs and everything, I'll have pasta now and then. I'll have the bread and, some of the cereals have a lot of carbs in it too. So you got to watch your carbs. Because, what did you learn about carbs? Well, they break down into simple sugars, one way or the other. It's a starch, and like in potatoes, it's starch, which breaks down into sugars at one point, and then that turns to fat if you don't burn it off. And it's just, the one thing you don't want to do is get your levels, your sugar levels, your glucose levels out of whack, because that's actually responsible for almost every metabolic activity in your body. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying this to hear my own voice. Sugar is your worst enemy, but I didn't particularly want to turn this into a health show, really, but it always winds up going to something like that. Starting off with appreciation of a new day. How people take that so lightly. But as you get older, you'll take a new day with a lot of appreciation. Because it's a new day, you're alive to do whatever the hell you want, to do as little as you want, or whatever. You want to make love? Make love. You want to make war? You make war. You do that, whatever you want to do with your life, if it satisfies you. That's the creed I live by. I don't do everything perfect. Hell no. That's one thing about me. If I'm wrong about something, I'm going to say I am wrong, brother. But if I'm not wrong, I'm not going to give in and say I'm wrong just to satisfy somebody or to make them drop a complaint or some shit like that. Hell no. I don't settle with anybody for nothing. No, somebody did me wrong in another state. They're not collecting a goddamn penny off me because they were wrong. I'm not going to give in to the system because a default judgment was made on a civil case to think I'm going to go pay them one fucking penny. Never happened, ain't going to happen, won't happen. You got to stick to your guns and you got to shine them up too sometimes. Don't let somebody take advantage of you unnecessarily. You got to stand up for yourself. You have to learn to if you're not capable of, or else people will step on you. Unless you like being stepped on, continue what you're doing. But if you're right about something, you're right. If you're wrong about something, you're wrong. Admit wrong, move on. Admit it's your fault, move on, and it's over with. But if you're right about something, don't ever give in. I mean, ever. Because you're giving somebody some false, righteousness. Never give in to a situation. And like I gave you a little story about this Brian Johnson guy, health guru, longevity guru, and what he does. And he had a situation with a fiance, and what happened with that tried to ruin his reputation. He was steadfast on this. She tried to get her lawyers to settle out with him. Settle what? He said. There's nothing to settle. You tried to ruin my reputation. You ain't getting a dime off of me, sweetheart. And she didn't. In fact, she had to pay him $500,000 in some of his legal expenses. That's the way it works. So somebody has something in mind, and they know they're wrong. They completely know they're wrong. Well, there's a way that things kind of work against you. The law, call it the law of nature or whatever. You gotta keep that in mind. Stand up for yourself. You only got one life. Oh, what do I see? Of course, there was a dead spider on the floor, and of course, what is being attracted to that little tiny dead spider? Well, you guessed it. Ants. There we go. Never-ending job, never-ending job. I get more activity just going after and cleaning these ants than anything else. You can't leave. It's called survival. And ants do it, we do it. One little crumb to you looks like nothing, but to an ant, it's a big gourmet meal. Hold on a minute. Jeez Louise, seriously? They come from outside, obviously, but they find their way inside and everywhere from cracks in the molding or underneath the doorways. Well, they find their way in. When you're hungry enough, you're going to do whatever you need to do. So ants do that too. So does every other creature. They find that food source and they go after it. Sunlight's coming out. Look at that. Morning shower, and here comes the sun. Okay. Enough of this for now. Here comes his 13th nervous breakdown. What's for breakfast? It's kind of early, but I set my own timelines. When I'm hungry, I'm hungry. So I use the rest of my oatmeal. I gotta buy more. I have a little bit of that muesli cereal. I don't feel like defrosting any strawberries, or maybe I should. As I said, there's a method to my madness, which is about everything I do. Methodology. Pretty much everything I do has a method to it. Damn, look at this damn thing. Damn. Hoo. Hoo-ah. Damn. It's happening. Look at that. 20-pound weight, I'm telling you, man. 20-pound weight. Not too shabby for me. Not too bad. Work it. You got to work it. In order to get results, you got to put work into something. I don't know if it's a legal case, whether it's your body. You want to build up a little muscle tone. I said, I'm not a bodybuilder, never will be. But you need to build up a little strength. It's more for strength training than for show. Because you need, as you get older, you need your muscles to be strong to carry you around, especially your legs. And I haven't been working enough on that. I wish I had some stairs here and I'd go up and down. That would be one of the best exercises, walking up and down steps. Absolutely would. It's one thing I don't have at this house. I don't have an upstairs. But I kind of do what I have here. It gets to a point I'll be sitting down and I'll be doing exercises. That's by watching TV. It doesn't stop. It's keeping that blood flow moving and it's working your muscles. And yes, I have seen a change. Positive changes is better than none. I don't plan to have 18-inch biceps. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but you never know. But I don't think that's ever going to happen unless you want to really work with continuous weights and grade and progression of weights. But I said there's other ways of going about that. It's just called, or repetition, or anyway, reps. Anyway, just do more reps. I've seen incredible videos where all they did was work out with a 15, 20-pound dumbbell and all the exercises they can do to that with all the different muscles in your body. It's quite tremendous. You don't need a big gym with a bench set and all that stuff, unless you want to be a bodybuilder in that way. I'm not looking to be a bodybuilder in that respect. I'm looking just for strength training, basically, resistance training, basically. That's all. Isometrics, you know. It's just as simple as, I don't know, look at my windowsill. Just as simple as, it should be like a 45-degree angle. Put your hands on here, body outstretched, and do 50 to 101 of these resistance training. That's all you need. You don't have to go way out. You don't need a whole gym, but boy, I tell you, there is a gym, actually. This guy has a restaurant, but he has a gym there. Never been there yet. I haven't seen his equipment. But the thing is, a lot of the stuff I can do right here. I could use a couple more things in my little repertoire, actually, to be honest with you, but I can get away with what I have successfully. And so far, it's been pretty good. I don't expect some marvelous results, but I could probably say in 6 months from now, willing that I'm alive still in 6 months, I only see positive results if you just continue what you're doing. There's always going to be positive results. What you doing in here, Ginger? What you doing in here? Hey, this is even a makeshift weight here I made on a pole I had. Yeah. This little orange weight, what is it, about 10 pounds or something? I'll use that when I'm sitting in the chair and use that on both arms above my head. I mean, I do a lot of stuff, just that little weight. But this, the big boy here, 20 pounds, starting to rust. This is what I normally use, and that's it. I don't have any elaborate weights here. We got a double fan system in here, you know. We've got a stationary bike, got the treadmill, got some exercise mats on our stand here. This thing's for your abs. This is for your oblique muscles. There you go. Nothing terribly high-tech or complicated, because you don't really need that. You could take 2-gallon milk containers and fill it with sand or water or something, and that's exercise. You can do that too. And I see how creative they get in the Philippines. A couple of years back or so, I asked around, anybody has any weight, barbells, you know? And I go to this guy's house, and I told you, they're very creative out here. And what he had, he was trying to pass off for me for quite a bit of money. I couldn't believe it. It was basically a kind of a wooden branch of some sort, and he had 2 weights on there that he made out of cement. That was his barbell. I must say it was very creative, and it wasn't the kind of barbell you go buy at the store, but this is something they created for themselves. When you don't have the money, you get creative. That's why I got to hand it to these Filipinos, because what they don't have or can't afford, they make up for it. They get really creative. Get creative. Somebody had to make a lame comment about the kid's bed frame. We were reconstructing it. Well, Frank can't even do that. Well, first of all, I don't have any tools around here except hammers and screwdrivers. I don't have any tools around here. By hiring somebody local, I'm helping the local economy. I'm helping him and his family by giving him work. And I'm going to get the job done right, not slipshod, because if I did it, because I'm not a carpenter, if I did it, it would have been slipshod, whatever you want to call it. I'd rather be done right than do it at all. And these guys, they're really creative, in part because they have to be. Because a lot of them may not have any money, or money's hard to come by, and they can't afford somebody in a skilled trade to do the work for them. So they learn to do it themselves, because that's what you got to do. There's actually quite a bit of things I could do. I've been in the labor market for a long time, but There's things I can do. I've operated all kinds of tools from jackhammers all the way down. I've done all that shit. Cut off saws, you name it. I've done all that shit a lot of years ago. Everything from garden equipment, weed whackers, you name it, aerators, and all the way down the line, pressure washers, descaling equipment. But if you don't have all the tools, then you also get a little bit lazy as you get older too. Why bust your ass for something? The labor charges out here are so small that it's worth hiring somebody to do it. I know my next project is going to be the metal trim under the gutters. I mean, underneath. I see rusting in the corner of my gutters, and I noticed some leaks in there that has to be attended to. I don't even have a proper ladder. Something I should have bought a long time ago. But I'm also, although I had no problem climbing on roofs and stuff like that, I did it with my Hawaiian home. I'd be on the roof many times doing a lot of stuff, fixing the ridge cap screws and pressure washing the roof and gutters. I did all that shit back in Hawaii. I'll be quite honest with you, I don't trust my sense of balance going on a roof again. I will not take that chance. I don't want to break my neck or fracture my hips. The worst thing that could ever happen to you. I am careful about certain stuff, and I will hire somebody else to do it, no question. I'm not going to worry about the money. I'm just going to worry about getting the job done, getting it done right, and not hurting myself in the process. I cannot afford, at my age, to do certain things anymore, and I will not chance it. And that's why you don't see me driving a scooter, motorcycle, or whatever. That's why. This shit happens in this town and all over the Philippines all the time. You can't trust. You may trust your driving. You may be confident as a driver and very competent, but it's always the other guy you got to worry about. I'm not personally going to take that chance. I could have bought a truck a long time ago, a car or something, to get around town, but what do I need for around town? I already established that I'm never going to drive in big city traffic like Cebu, take my car on a ferry to drive around Cebu. I'd rather hire a driver for that, and I do. I get a Grab driver. Exactly what I do. And if I had a car, I'd probably hire a driver, other than locally, to go around Cebu, wherever I have to go, on trips. But that's how I work it. I don't like taking chances. I just really don't. Except legally. I'm gung-ho with that, but to take chances, physical chances, of doing things, even chores around the house, the roof, this, that, no. It's not for me. That's for a younger person to do. Those days are over. I don't trust my sense of balance. I absolutely do not. I do not. And I won't chance it. My balance isn't as good as it used to be 10 years ago. I'd be on a roof, actually, when I was living in Hawaii, I'd be on that roof fairly often, because I was always cleaning the gutters out. I was always, doing something, pressure washing the panel for the hot water heater, the solar panel, checking the ridge caps, rusted screws and stuff like that, replacing them, or tightening them if they were in good shape, put a little oil on them or some kind of shielding so they wouldn't rust or something, There's always something that has to be done. That's when you have a house. That's just the way it is. That's part of the responsibility of having a house. All the above applies. And if you feel, forget about your pride because of your age or something, if you feel that a certain project is not something that you want to do, don't do it. Follow your instinct. If you think there might be a challenge to it, I mean, life is a challenge. You got to do certain things, even things you don't want to do. But for your own safety and your own health, there's certain times you need to designate that kind of work to somebody else. It's just common sense is what it is. I don't like taking chances like that. No, I don't. I absolutely don't. I'll tell you right off, I don't like taking chances like that. I don't want to wind up in a fucking hospital if I don't have to. Having to get physical therapy, besides the money, besides the time, discomfort. It may come down to that someday, I don't know. Because we don't know from day to day what happens to us. Neither one. My listening audience don't know, I don't know. Life is a chance, it's a challenge, exactly what it is. Staying alive is a challenge. I always refer back to that somewhat popular TV show that was, how many years back was that? Called 1001 Ways to Die. Amazing. They say that it's amazing that you're alive at all, with all the challenges in the environment, the possibility of accidents, things down to a biological level, a molecular level. It's amazing that we survive at all. And there was so much truth on that show. They pointed out some of the really stupid things that people have done. And I always brought up the story for that particular show. These couple of stoners were out in the woods getting high. And they ran out of weed, so they still had some zigzag there, you know. So they go and they, I like telling this story. So they wanted to smoke something, the idiots that they were, the stoners. So that's why I don't deal with stoners. I never did. I knew plenty of them in Hawaii and Seattle, and my brother was one of them, but these guys, what they did was they went to try to find some dried up leaves on a plant somewhere. Well, they did. They found it. They had the rolling paper and all that, but they ran out of some good weed. So they found another weed. And by their ignorance of what they chose and ignorance of doing what they did, they died almost instantly. Because the weed that they chose on there happened to be, I don't know, it was either poison sumac or poison ivy or something. And when they lit up, straight to their lungs, and they asphyxiated themselves. I mean, it was one of the stupidest things people could actually ever do. Of course, they're stoners. What do you expect from a fucking stoner, man, you know? Yeah. Amazing stories to tell out there, the stupid things that people have done, like putting false complaints on somebody. I think that's awfully stupid. Everything has its repercussions. Calling somebody a child predator has its repercussions, and obviously so. It's just stupid things that people do consistently. And they do it to get the goat of somebody, but then when it comes all, you know, piling back in their face, that's when they have their regrets. And we've seen a lot of that on YouTube, haven't we? We certainly have. Well, I see you're very patiently listening to my show. There's not any dialogue going on here. And, well, I know why, because I got trolls listening to me, very eagerly listening to me to see if I have to say. They could quote me, screenshot me, whatever, you know, whatever, record me. Uh-oh, I burped. I have to say to these guys, how's that worked out for you so far? Really? All right. Hello, Region. Good morning. It's getting to be a kind of a morning routine here. A lot of times I say I'm not going to do a morning show, then something comes in my mind to talk about. Because as I said, I like morning shows. I don't have a lot of distraction here in the family. I go in my dining room and I do a show. That kind of works out for me. But I get my point out. That's the whole purpose of my show, is get my point out. Make sense of the things that I say compared to the nonsensical, crap that people put out on here. And they wind up eating crow for it every single time. I don't know, self-punishment seems to be the denominator out here quite a bit. I don't know why, but people like to make a fool of themselves, and they do a wonderful job of doing it. Region, where did you say? You in the Philippines, or you outside of the Philippines? I don't know everybody's background on here. Most of you guys are trolls anyway. I realize that. But out of curiosity, I don't think you're in the Philippines, right? I think a lot of people who view my show say, they're not in the Philippines. If I look at my stats, it says that 65% or more of the people that ever come on my show or subscribe are actually not of the Philippines area. Isn't that interesting? That explains a lot, actually. I don't want to get into that, what it explains, but it does explain a lot. Let's use the word vicariously. Okay, that's a good word. But we don't have Heminger this morning. Oh, that's strange. Heminger's been very active lately. Region says, I'm back and forth, but I have lived an extended amount of time in the Philippines. So you're from the USA? I'll just make an assumption it's the USA. You don't have to give your whole life and profile to me. You're not going to do that anyway, because you don't want me to know who you are. And what brings you back and forth to the Philippines? Is it women to get laid, or what is it? Or you just love the culture so much that you come back and forth? So what's your story for coming back and forth to the Philippines? What's your real story? Come on, get it out. Get it out. You're not one of those sexpats, are you? It's never worth it. It's never worth it. You don't know what disease you're going to get just to get your jollies from a few Filipinos and go back home and share your story with your friends, if not any videos. A lot of that goes on too. They come back, they take some rated X, good for Pornhub type of videos to bring home with them of their conquests. And they show it to their friends to make them jealous. Oh, look what I got. Look how young she was. Well, their friends are going to either say that you're a fucking sick bastard or you're a lucky bastard, according to what mindset they have. You're from California, and my wife is Filipino. Ah. Okay, you're living together in California. All right, good for you, man. 26, good for you. So you must be up there. How old are you, man? If you don't mind me asking. Wow. That's a pretty good story. Married 26 years to a Filipina. I don't think I have a total of 26 years to be together with mine. I've been together well over 9 years, but I don't know if I'm going to make it to the 26-year point of being together with her. I don't know. That might be a far stretch. But I'm happy with the time I do have with her, That's all that matters. Or I will have with her. Pretty good figure, 26 years. Must have something good going there to be together with anyone for 26 years. You're only 52, so you're still working, obviously. Do you plan to, I don't know, do you plan to retire in the Philippines? If so, where? And if not, why not? You're going to work till you're 62 and opt out at 62, which most people should do, because I've always brought that up many times. And so did other YouTubers on here. They'll opt out for the lesser money in lieu of the knowledge that, well, the biggest mistake a lot of people make, I talk about on here, they'll wait till they're 67 or higher They want to get more money, but there's no guarantee they're going to live to be 67 or higher. That's the problem. They get greedy when you really should start taking your retirement to 62 and start doing your life, whatever, enjoy your life. Probably not, no. We have kids and their futures here in the United States. Like to be clever. That's a good enough reason. Nothing wrong with that. I just hope that they have a good future in the United States, the way things are going, and who's actually leading the country. That's always a factor to consider too. No, look, Philippines is not for everybody. It's not even totally for me, really. I know of another place I wouldn't mind living in Asia, for lots of reasons. I'm not going to spell it out on here for lots of reasons, but there's another place I wouldn't mind living if I had to, and quality of life should be pretty damn good. I can see myself spending 3 to 6 months a year. Yeah, that's a nice balance for some people. Yeah, you get your fill of the Philippines in 3 to 6 months. You really do. You get your fill. The Asia thing, This doesn't work out for a lot of people full time out here. They don't mind going to the Philippines because, your wife or girlfriend, whatever, has relatives out here and she's got to spend some time with them, and there's always family to have out here, and I understand that. I understand that completely. It's different if I had a home anymore, if I had a home in the United States and my girlfriend was able to actually travel with me to the United States and I had a place to stay for 3 months or whatever, give her a little feel of America, but not too much, you don't want to Americanize. Well, you did, obviously. Hope it's obviously turning out well for you. You've been together for 26 years. If she was completely Americanized, may not be comfortable for you, but maybe she still remained on being a Filipino that you met and has not lost track of her values. Even when I lived in the Philippines, it was nice to leave annually for a reason. Yeah, I get you. I understand. Sometimes you have to do that. It is a reset, like hitting the reset button. I don't blame you. I really don't. Not at all. There's certain things I miss about the United States. There's a lot of things I don't miss. A lot of things, actually. Food, well, that's a plus. People speak the same language. People I can relate to in some form or way with the culture I grew up in. There's pluses, but there's also a lot of minuses too. And there's too many minuses for me. But if I had for whatever reason to live in the United States again, that would be quite a challenge for me, I think. It's just changed so much. People's mindset, in the U.S. is really horrible. The Karens and all that. It'd be something for me, hard for me to deal with, This is where I'm living, this is where I plan to die. If I could all help it, it's going to be that way. I wouldn't mind, under the right circumstances, to make some trips to some other countries. That would be nice. But, there's another thing too, and you have certain responsibilities, and you got dogs, you got a couple of relatively young kids to be responsible for. Your responsibilities have to come before your different part of your life of traveling and so forth. Everything's got to be, dots and T's crossed and all that, and you can't just up and leave whenever you want. That's always see a problem with that. That's kind of the way it is here. Even though I don't really like traveling throughout the Philippines, I find it very tedious. I still like getting away now and then here. I do. staying home all the time, sometimes it gets awfully boring as a retired person. You develop a routine all the time, but sometimes you got to break that routine. You have to. Especially when you're living in a place that's not exactly that exciting. It's a great place to live, but for many reasons, but sometimes, it becomes a little bit too mundane. So even a trip to Cebu for me, I get somewhat pleasure out of that to a certain point, but I only stay no more than 3 days normally. I get my fill. Then I had my fill, went to the malls, bought clothing, bought food. If I had to, for some reason, see a doctor or get a test or something, if I had a reason to do it, I would take care of that too. So generally, or legal matters, you take care of that. So generally, I make good time and good, quality time when I go to a place like Cebu City proper. I try to get as much done as I possibly can because I know I'm only going to stay there about 3 days, really. Beyond 3 days, it can become overkill for me, The traffic, the pollution. I could definitely tell you that I really couldn't see myself living in a big city like Cebu. I'd be a lot, well, my health would downgrade. I'm sure about it. My health would go into a downspill. Yeah. It is so highly polluted there. They've measured the levels of pollution. Well, Manila is worse, of course. Manila is way worse than Cebu. I can't see why anybody lives there in Manila. I don't know why they even want to live in Manila. They have their own reasons, I guess, but considering all the storm systems they get out there compared to other areas like the Visayas, and it's more so happening in Luzon, Manila, and all that area, earthquakes, everything you think of, and they moved there because they got to have some place to live, I guess. But I think what you do, Region 6, is good. You get to get your fill of the Philippines for 3 to 6 months, whatever. You go back home to California, reset that again. But I do understand about getting away. It does help psychologically and otherwise. But you have to get away somewhere just to break your routine. But on the other hand, I could be perfectly happy, being very docile, being very laid back and all that. Contrary to what people believe, I did have to work. And I punched my time clocks and all that crap. Maybe I didn't work as long as some people, but ever since I was able to work, I did work. And I've had some kick-ass jobs, let me tell you, man. Kick-ass physically / psychologically. I've had some dangerous jobs. Had some easy jobs. Easy peasy. And when I worked for the parks, that was like the best job I ever had. You were free to be, really. I'd have a truck basically designated for my route that day, and it would be my truck. We had our little walkie-talkie system that we can call out on for any emergencies. I was able to just freewheel, from one park to another. Don't mind what the trolls say. This was a gravy job. It really was. I get to go to these beautiful parks every day. You can't knock that at all. And I wasn't making a ton of money at the time, but at the time it wasn't, I left off at a little bit over $17 an hour, and this is a long time ago. And that wasn't really bad for the time, and the benefits were really good when I got all the benefits. Yeah, they were. A lot of people said, Frank, you're crazy. I told you, I laid down a handwritten resignation on my supervisor's desk. I said, I'm done. And so my coworkers and other people say, "Why'd you do that, man? You could stay in there long enough to get vested." And well, I should have done. And what I could have, should have done, could have, should have, whatever. But it is what it is, and it went with the way it went. And I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. I don't regret it at all. Well, okay, it's part of me. I regret not getting vested to make more money per month. That's the only thing. But I would have had to have worked about 13 more years to get fully, to get fully vested. Actually, it takes 5 years or so of total full-time work. And the city was kind of fucking with people, and they had to pay for that legally, when they were trying to hire people part-time. I figured they wouldn't have to pay them any benefits, so two people would work that one job, right? They'd lay you off after, you know, one season. Well, they'd hire you like on a part-time basis, so they don't give you the benefits. Then they have somebody else they'd have fill in for you. Then you'd have to wait, but you had to collect unemployment insurance at the time, which I had to. And since my budget wasn't really extraordinary, I was able to get by on that. But I worked myself into getting to be part-time permanent and then full-time permanent. But what they were doing is screwing people over, and they had to remedy that. And one of the stories that I don't share with you, they had to settle out with all those workers that were working all these years. Talk about money, something I never talked about on here. They had to settle out. It was a class action thing going on. They weren't paying us the bennies and all that. They were keeping us working so they didn't have to pay out all those bennies instead of hiring somebody full time. And that's what they did. They kept people floating in the system. And there was some dudes that, hippie type guys, whatever, that they loved it, man. They worked, how many months on, then how many months off. They collect unemployment insurance, and they were able to still live their simple lifestyles and get high and whatever they did, They loved it. They absolutely loved it, to get enough hours in to collect unemployment insurance. That's what they did. And it was by no choice of their own, really, because the city wasn't hiring a lot of people full time. They figured they could save money that way. This goes on all the time. This is nothing new. But they've come a long way with this, actually. And a lot of these governmental organizations tried that, and they failed later on because it was remedied. And yeah, they had to pay out a certain amount of money. I'm not saying how much I made. It wasn't my class action. It was, it was a class action suit that just covered all the employees that were working a set amount of time and weren't getting these bennies, and they weren't being hired full time. So they had to hire me full time eventually. But then, like B.B. King sang, the thrill is gone. And I worked there full time for a while. I don't regret the job at all. That's one of the better jobs I've ever had in my life. I have no complaints about it at all, except I always say I had to do a lot of other people's work. They weren't as, shall I say, industrious as I was. I actually did my job, no matter what it was. I did my job, and I did it well, and I did as well as I possibly can. Not to prove something to somebody else, but to myself. They're hiring me, they're giving me money for a specific job, and I have to perform this job the best that I can. It's for me. It's not really for them. It's for me. I took pride in everything I did. Tried to be the best as I could. And I didn't have just one job. I worked for quite a while in the warehouse, and we would supply everything from electrical, plumbing, HVAC, janitorial supplies to all the different divisions of the Parks Department that made the Parks Department run. Anything from gloves to screws to plumbing parts, you name it. And I worked there for quite a while. I made more money doing that, working in the warehouse, than I did as a laborer. I could have stayed there, but there was some nepotism going on. The supervisor that worked in the warehouse, Barb, she wanted to put her, well, kind of like nepotism, her neighbor's daughter in there who had no experience at all. I had worked there for how many years, and then she threw her in because she had to go for an interview when they had me in as a part-time type deal. So when that opportunity came up to actually get a full-time job at the warehouse, which would have been cool, okay, not totally, because I liked being out in the field, to be honest with you. However, it paid more. You had to be interviewed by the manager, the one that's above my supervisor's head. And they were kind of really tight, the supervisor and the manager, Linda. And they gave this job to this black chick. Color really has and has not something to do with it. But there had to be some kind of equal opportunity employment type of thing, which I'm not against. But they knew no matter how I did on the questionnaires and testing and all that, I did a great job. I should have been right in like Flynn. And they hired her. No experience. They even allowed her to get licensed on the forklift. They never allowed me. Because I had to use the forklift a lot when trucks come in for supplies. I go down the stairs and I have to forklift some stuff in. And I drive the forklift too. Shit, they had her working part-time there. And they got her all a special license for operating certain equipment. They never gave that opportunity to me, but they gave it to her. Because they wanted her in and me out. Because it was a neighbor or a friend or whatever it was, A lot of nepotism that goes on, too. A lot where I worked. They get their relatives in all the time. Retracting messages region. What's that? Even when I lived in the Philippines, it was nice. Who's retracting messages? But anyway, to finish that story up, there was a lot of politics everywhere. There was a lot of politics going on where I worked. But all in all, people can make fun all they want. I'd never had my own business of sort, Sure, there's a lot of people who had made a lot of money that I do. They're all set now. They're retired. And they boast about how many years they spent on a job, 32 years. Well, good for them. They had things lined up pretty well, and it worked out good for them, and I'm happy for them. That's never been me. It's not been me. I never worked 32 years for any company. It is what it is. And what I wind up getting on my Social Security is what I wind up getting on my Social Security because, well, I did have a disability rating for a while, and when I turned this retirement age, it just went into regular retirement, Social Security. And I got the maximum I could get for the amount of time, by no fault of my own, that I put in with the city. They tried to fuck people over, but I got compensated at one point. I'm not going to give any figures out, but me and lots of people got compensated when they were pulling that crap to save money on benefits and stuff and just hiring people more part-time than full. So you'd get two people to work a full-time job. One would work one season, they'd lay you off, then they'd hire somebody else in for the rest of the season, rinse and repeat. That's what they were doing. Frisbee isn't going home. What makes you think that? Lucy Delta Red. I think I know who you are. Speaking of, I gotta go grab a bowl of cereal or something before I do any workout. Ah, my goodness. Oh, what a tattered web we live. Just another troll move. That's what you think, huh? That's what you think. Maybe I know something more than you do. I guess I could have some of my cereal. Become a serial killer. A serial killer, but that's not enough for me. Gotta get the protein in. I gotta get blah, blah, blah. You gonna have your cup of coffee, dear? Isn't there a song? A song says, "Let's have another cup of coffee." Coffee. How many people love coffee? It's a social thing. People gather around a cup of coffee in the morning or whatever. They gotta have their coffee, like I gotta have my green tea. But it's a real social thing with coffee. People meet before work, they have their proverbial whatever coffee, you know, and it's a social thing is what it is, you know. Have I gone to SNR lately? No, I haven't. I'm not in Cebu. How can I go to SNR? Wish I had one around here. Maybe I don't wish they had one around here. I don't know. That might be dangerous. Excuse me, dear. Been using cinnamon on my cereal a lot lately. Cinnamon's good for you too. It adds a little more flavor to it too. Flavor. Ah, there we go. Now you don't want to put strawberries necessarily with cinnamon. You don't want to do that. Yeah, we had a good rain shower this morning, dear. If you didn't see it. A shower, yeah. I should actually put more in this bowl. Freeze-dried strawberries. No, jeez. Let's see, Miko. Kerwin's is a poor man's SNR. Hygiene there, not great as cans rusty. You must follow my show quite a bit, don't you? You're not even spelling Kerwin's right. So you're obviously not a local. No, Kerwin's is not a poor man's SNR. It's nothing more than a sorry store, really. And predominantly all they sell there is the basics and local Filipino eats. There's nothing much there at all. That's the problem.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. Yeah, Skills said. Well, they got my almond milk there. That's amazing itself. Really. Canned foods? Yeah, some garbage foods. Filipino food. Vienna sausages, some crappy kind of corned beef, sardines, the staple of locals. And there's only one store in town that sells kidney beans, which I eat a lot of, and it ain't Kerwin's. I don't know, is there a real Lucy? I don't know.
Tools.
See, this is what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to show you, but
No.
the food.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's Filipino way. See?
Filipino. She's got her cup of coffee. She got a toasted bread. She's dipping it into her coffee. That's what they do. Oh, we left that pump on all night. We're going to have a hell of an electric bill coming in the next day or two. We don't want that pump to break down. It goes on as often as it does. You're burning out the motor, man. To burn it out. The golf swing looks great, Gypsy. Have Roberto, the black expat. You guys come up with these names, I gotta tell you. I don't know, I almost felt like going out for breakfast this morning. We go right around the corner. There's a little resort, there's a restaurant there. They got good breakfast, all that. Never ate there, but I looked at their menu. But, we're having our own little thing this morning. We also would have planned to just gone there. There's nothing, almost nothing they have there that I can't make here. I'll tell you, there's a few people on here that are setting themselves up for disaster. I'll tell you what, I've been doing a lot of recording lately. Things that people shouldn't say. Let's look at the Barry situation and keep that in mind. And keep that in mind. Seriously. Some people doing something. Hey, by the way, who bought this?
Dilemna.
That's Diana's? Nina? And why did she just leave it here then?
No, because he said you're going for plaques.
I know what it's for.
Yeah, so they bought that one they put there.
And she put there.
You can use.
Yeah, let me have one of them. People don't know what this is. Let me show you. It's for your tongue. It's a plaque remover.
I'll give you one.
There you go.
Just turn that one there.
Remove plaque from your arteries.
Yeah,
From the tongue to. Okay, what is that? See, the big man was mocking your previous bankruptcies. No, they can mock what they want. Cringe ego, yeah. Well, here's the difference, between failure and success. The question is, if you had to go through a bankruptcy for whatever reason, did you get back on your feet? There you go. Yes or no? I did. I even bought a house in Seattle within a year or so, right after a bankruptcy situation. Sometimes you have to fall a few times before you can succeed in something. But the main moral of the story is that did you or did you not get back up on your feet, stand tall, and move on with your life? Ever since bankruptcy situations, I've owned 3 homes, not to mention a parcel of land out here too that was sold. Did you get on your feet? Yes or no? That's the question. I did. Care about bankruptcies. It's American right to do so, to regroup yourself. Sometimes it happens more than once, but then you learn from these lessons in life. You see, the problem is with most Americans, they all depend on their credit cards for everything. And that's how they get into trouble. A situation may come up, they use their credit card. Man, you gotta pay that shit back. You gotta pay it back. Credit cards. You get into trouble when you have that. It's more troublesome than it's actually worth. You know, credit cards are more troublesome.
You didn't have sleep for that.
Yeah. It's more trouble than it's worth. Well, I'll tell you why. Households finance used to, they had this little, I call it a scam. Beneficial, remember beneficial household finance, whatever it's called? What they would do, they send you an actual check in the mail. A bona fide check for like $1,200, $1,500. Okay? And, you know, you're going to see that check, and all you have to do is sign it and cash it. And you now owe household finance beneficial X amount of dollars at high interest. And they use that tactic to bait and catch people. I mean, come on. Say you're going through a low time in your life and you get a check in the mail for $1,200 or $1,500. It's yours to cash right then and there. Solve your problems at the moment. You're not going to cash it? Of course you are. Well, I got caught up in that, and that's what kind of happened. Oh, yeah. What I can understand, given the wealth of the big man, which he purports, and I have no reason to doubt him, why doesn't he buy his family a property in PI instead of renting? Look, I don't really care. Why even mention him, really? He's insignificant to me. I've spoken what I needed to say about him. And he's been doing a lot of wrong things to me and Gilda. So, we'll just leave it at that. If he wants to challenge me, I'll challenge him right back, and I think he knows I will. I don't think he doubts it. Having a big wallet doesn't mean you're right, unless you're going to pay people off on the side to get things done. And tell me that doesn't happen. It certainly does. But don't even mention his name on my show anymore. I think I'd appreciate it. I have nothing in common with the guy at all. Never will. I would never want to be him, no matter how much money he has. Never. I think the way he treats people is horrible. And women, that's my opinion. I've seen it on camera. I can make my own analysis of what somebody's like by what they actually expose themselves doing on camera with people they supposedly love or married to or whatever. That's all I'm going to say about that. I think you all know what I'm talking about. I think you know very well. So let's not make him a topic on this show. Let's not give him the credit. People need to go about their own business and go on with their life. You constantly got to constantly prove yourself all the time. It means that your life is not complete. Look at me at this fancy restaurant I'm eating at, or look at this trip I'm going to take the family with. Look at this elaborate spread on the table, you know. Well, good for you. Good for you. Economically, we're probably radically different. Well, I know we are. It is what it is. I don't flaunt everything, you know. I have at times, but comparably not even close to what he does. So, yeah, got your point. Yeah, it's great to have a lot of money in case you need it. It sure is. But I know for a fact that money's not everything. It's not. And when your health is in such dire straits, if that's the situation, sometimes even money is not going to save your life. Just a fact. Money is not everything. And if the only way to get a woman is by having a fat wallet, then that tells a story in itself. It's all we need to talk about. Let's move on. People are going to be people. There's a reason why women stay with certain men. Like my situation, fuck. It's a no-brainer. It's either you got a good relationship or you don't. My girlfriend, there's no marital ties with us. She can leave me anytime she wants. As I said, she's got more money than I'll ever have. She could leave me, kick me out the door if we got into an argument or something. She could do whatever she wants. Almost 9.5 years, whatever it's been now. Still here. Still making love. We're still affectionate with each other. We don't argue much. Hardly. And everything's copacetic. Like it should be. Mama San's back. Sir Frank, the girls admire how you help Gilda, compared to those who live like gypsies and have their own basketball team to feed. Yeah, speaking of basketball teams. Oh my God, that sounded like MJ. MJ has that laugh. He has a very unusual laugh. What?
Now I'm laughing very feel.
Oh, you didn't have to.
Go there in Punta Princesa.
Where'd he go?
Punta Princesa, the daughters come
Oh,
home
Porto different. Yeah.
the daughters come home from Australia.
Daughter came home from Australia.
Yeah, they study in Australia.
So he's in Puerto Princesa. Oh, there they are. Oh. Well, they're having a good time, right? That's all that matters.
Nice place.
Oh, okay. Michael says, I think the main difference is you have a real family situation, not artificially created. Yeah, I think that's a good point you're making there. There's nothing artificially created in my situation or any intent to do so. There's nothing. It is what it is. It happens to be good, and I'm very happy about that. I'm never going to display my woman in a fucking bar getting drunk off their asses and all that shit. She don't even drink. I don't know. People seem to need to drink to perform, to go on with their life, to show that they're having a great time. And they get drunk off their ass and they do stupid things. And sometimes they do it on camera, embarrassing as it is. God, I couldn't do that. I respect my girlfriend too much to do that to her and grab her breasts on camera and send her out to another girlfriend that he's not even married to and dance the way they do on the floor very sexually. That is so degrading to a Filipino. It is so absolutely degrading. And I make no bones about it. I talk about it, and I will. I will, because it was real. I've seen it. You've seen it. It was disgusting. It was disgusting display. It really was. But you're right. Yeah, I do have a real family. Yeah. Regent says that sexual deviant fraud reminds me of those Mormon families you see in Utah. Well, he does talk about, he's quoting, things about Solomon and how Solomon had 300, how many wives? 700 wives and 300 concubines. Like, he's so proud of saying that. And whatever happened to the so-called institution of marriage and respect? He seems to be somewhat of a religious dude. He's not respecting the so-called institution of marriage. Not one fucking bit. He's, hypocrisy is deafening. Sodom and Gomorrah, yeah. Sodomy. Is that what he came up with? Sodomy, yeah. Unnatural acts. You'd only expect that from an animal, but even animals are more highly graded than some humans. He links himself to Abraham as has concubines in the Old Testament. Okay, well, I can see where this conversation is, this dialogue is going with. Let's refrain from that. Truth is, I don't really care what he does with his women. I would never treat and look down at women the way this particular individual does. I couldn't do that. It wouldn't be me. I wouldn't feel good about myself. I really don't have relationships where I'm degrading the woman I'm with. I just don't do that. We have our arguments every now and then, tit for tat, but we don't get into anything huge and nothing. And it's very rare when we do. Um, and it's usually over something very small. And it's quickly remedied, but all in all, no, we're not really that argumental, really. We've had our few moments, but nothing big. Yeah. Regent says the community hates that guy. You bring his name up and the discussion will digress. Yeah, not even talk about him. He's not that important in any of our lives. He's certainly not important in my life. He means nothing to me. It just proves to me what a lowly person a human could be and how you treat animals or how you treat your own woman. It tells volumes about the person. Total disrespect. Total and complete disrespect. And one last thing, I remember he was sitting several years back. He was sitting around with, what's his name? Tropical Tim. And Tropical Tim had his wife there, and he had his wife there. And I think another woman. And they were drunk as shit. And they were talking down on the very women they came with. They were saying some very degrading things about him right in front of their face. I don't remember exactly what was said. You'll have to trust me on that. I remember what they were saying was really degrading them. It had to do with money and their dependency on them because they had money or something. There was another episode that it was just degrading, absolutely degrading. Yeah, he does videos about you from a public swimming pool. Jeez. Well, I'll tell you what, when he owns that swimming pool, then talk to me. Okay, enough about him. Over. You said your piece, I said mine. He's insignificant in my life. He doesn't pay for my meals every evening. Has no significance in my life whatsoever. Unless he wants to get into my life in another way, and I think you know what I'm talking about. I'll handle that too. Believe me, I do a lot of recording. Remember, I'm retired. I got time on my hands. And Frank doesn't have anything to do. Yeah, I do a lot of recording. I absolutely do. Let's see. Mr. Ice Store says, Gypsy, you need to stop. You're an orange glow dust fanboy. Yeah, the glow dust. Yeah, that was a funny one too. Look, you're not going to stop people from doing stupid shit, guys. That's the atmosphere on social media, not just YouTube. It's all over it. Every format you could think of. It's nothing new. And I don't really care how much money somebody has. It doesn't make them better than me in any form or way. Not even close. You could be a homeless man on the street. You could be a homeless man on the street, and you could have more class than somebody who has tons of money. And people could like you for who you are because you've been respectable. Respect goes a long way. Let me tell you something. My dad, and I don't really like bringing family into this, my dad didn't have shit. But he was respected by everyone because that's the way he was. Easy to talk to, never caused trouble for anybody. People liked him for who he was. My father was illiterate. you know? They didn't judge him for that. He grew up in the 20s. At a young age, he had to go out. They'd sell apples in the street. They'd do whatever they had to do. Back in the days of depression and all that shit, they did what they had to do. My father was always respected by everyone, by family, by neighbors and friends. There's a difference in how you measure class, and it's not by how big your billfold is. It has nothing to do with it. He's talking about Big E, Gypsy, okay? All right, just to get that out of the way. It's just, I'm no one's Huckleberry. That's a quote. Huckleberry, I remember seeing a show on that. I always wondered where that expression came from, but it goes back a long time. But nevertheless, let's kind of refrain. I see where this direction is going on my live stream. Let's just cut it. Okay, you got it. All right. That's his personal profile name on the dating sites, by the way, just to let you know. One of them. And an email address to, well, yeah, it's all tied to him. Now, with me, one woman, that's enough for me. One woman, that's quite enough for me. When you get old and decrepit, money not worth jack. You're right. Money is not going to resolve a terminal condition, medical condition. All the money in the world. Throughout history, people have had a lot of money. Millionaires, that they would sell everything they own, all their money and everything, to get well again, to find a cure or something. Never worked all the time, but you'll know that money means shit when it comes to saving your own life. Money doesn't have any significance. Of course, money is going to get you the best medical care and the medicine you need, of course. Of course, the best doctors, surgeons, all that crap. Absolutely. So let's say you have a better chance than a poor man in getting the kind of medical treatment that you need. Absolutely. The testing, everything you need. It doesn't go beyond that, because if you're terminal, you're terminal. And if there's no cure for your disease, no money in the world is going to save your ass. Bob Marley, One Woman, One Cry. Is that part of some of his songs? I didn't really follow Bob Marley. Most of the stoners followed him. In fact, a funny story. I don't know, there's a Bob Marley song, I don't know what it is. Up in Bantayan at the public market, some guy has a little kiosk or something on wheels, whatever. I don't know what he sells. Bread or something. I have no idea. As long as I've been in Santa Fe, as long as I've been going to Bantayan, this guy is still there. I think he is. Every time I go there, this guy probably has a cassette recorder. And I swear to you, it has one song on it. One song. It's a Bob Marley song. And every time, for years, that I've gone to the public market in Bantayan town, I would hear the same music for the same guy. This guy must have had to listen to that how many 100,000 times. I almost felt like finding out what kind of device was he using to play this music and buy him some tapes or something. But I'm not kidding, I didn't make this up. Every time I came to Bantayan, there was this guy playing this Bob Marley song. I imagine the people around the other stalls or anywhere probably got pretty tired of hearing that. I don't know, I haven't been to the public market there in a while, actually. So I don't know if he closest I come to the public market is the for transportation. You know, they have a terminal there for the jeepneys, which is right at the market. But he'd be in a certain part, a central part of the market, and he knew he was around because that same music would play over and over again. I couldn't do that, man. Sometimes a song gets stuck in my head, you know. It could be a commercial, it could be, oh gosh, especially on the feeds, you know, Facebook feeds, you know, and they're always showing famous people. I'm sure you've seen all this, how could you not? When they were younger and what they look like today, kind of a time machine thing. And one of the songs was Forever, well, one of them was Forever Young. It wasn't Rod Stewart's thing, Forever Young, it was something else. And you see stars, singers, all this shit. And that's one of a couple of different songs they've been using on this. They must be copyright free because I see a lot of people actually using it. But there's sometimes, you know, I get a song in my mind and it's kind of hard to get rid of it. That could actually become problematic. There was a few times it really has. Because I'd have a song on my mind and I'd be humming it or singing it all day and thinking about it. Because, you know, you go on these feeds and they play this music over and over and over and over and over again. It kind of gets in your mind, gets in your brain. But it is amazing, though. What's that? My Filipina is always singing, "Oh bloody blada, what's up?" Oh God, I couldn't handle that. I hated that song. Well, when they screwed it up and they kind of made it the theme song of that show with what's his name, the mentally retarded actor. You know, they made that like the theme song of that show. That's when they really kind of messed it up. That's one song from the Beatles that I cannot listen to. Just cannot listen to. Oh bloody. I never liked that song. To the marketplace. Oh, don't put it in my head. Don't put it. Don't put it in my head, please. Okay. It's very easy for me to catch on to this stuff. You know, you've heard me on my shows singing certain things over and over again, right? That's because something got in my head. A song. I don't mind having a song in my heart, but to be on my brain all the time. No, God, I remember commercials on TV through the years that I would be. And then there's one other thing they used to use a lot on YouTube, although I don't hear it anymore. And who sung that song? A thousand years, a thousand miles. Do 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 do, a thousand miles. God, they were using that song for reunions. You know, every time, like somebody was going to meet their woman for the first time, or reunion from one country to the other. You know, meetups at the airport. You know, they might as well done it in slow motion. It was so, you know, quiche. I don't know. It was so played out too, um, kitschy. And they'd play that song. Then comes the embrace. Of course, you have to pick the girl up from her feet when you're hugging her. It was so, I don't know, played out. Okay. Good song. You know, I used to like the song actually. It has had some certain applications, but I think it was so overly used that I couldn't even hear it, listen to it anymore. In a thousand years, thousand miles. And everybody started copying. You know how people are, how trendy, follow the cattle. They all started using that same song every time they were going to be publicizing their meeting on YouTube of a girl, long distance relationship, LDR, and they meet at the airport and they get really, you know, get really stupid about it. Well, there's really nothing wrong with expressing your emotion, meeting up for the person finally in person. But I think when you're using the same song and everybody else is using it, it takes the value away from the song, I think. I've seen these stories, and then later on they break up anyway. There's 1,000 million stories of foreigners meeting the Filipinos out here. It just doesn't work out. Your head swells too much as an expat that comes here. To figure all these willing Filipinos out here, your head just gets so swollen. You think you're a real man. Yeah. Because, you know damn well, in the United States, wherever you come from, you're not going to get a woman that's that much younger than you. It's just not going to happen. Needless to be redundant and talk about that again. I think you get the story on that. It's just, generally, it's not going to happen. So if you're lucky enough to get somebody younger than you, at least make it a reasonable age, not a very obvious thing with the guys like a fucking half a century older than the woman or more. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. What's that, dear? Okay. And I got to figure out what toothbrush I use in there. I got the black charcoal one. I got to put them in an appropriate place. I got to buy more peroxide. I clean the toothbrush with peroxide, A little bit. You want to mix it with water. You don't want to put direct peroxide, for example, in your mouth directly, full strength. You could dilute it if you want to do some deep gum cleaning or something like that. But I made the mistake one time of brushing in hydrogen peroxide into my gums with the toothbrush, and that was a real bad mistake because boy, that made my gums inflamed. Yeah, I do stupid things too, But that's how you learn from your mistakes. Anyway, I think I've been on here long enough. I got to do some form of exercise here. I'm not going to feel good about myself until I do. Yes, I'm seeing results. I'm actually seeing results. Maybe I'll show you in 6 months or something if I'm still alive, wherever I am. Whether it's from a jail cell or another country or something, who knows? Maybe we'll show you the difference. The one thing I don't do is take off my shirt. My skin is so damn white that it embarrasses me. I don't go out tanning, and I never did back in the States. I never went out tanning. And then you had some of the most racist people too, that would, really be racist against black people or people with darker skin. But yeah, what were they doing? Oh, so I got to go out and get my tan. Yeah, they want to, they want to get a tan. They want dark skin, but they're ragging on people who have dark skin. It's just like the fat guy that goes to a buffet, and he's eating the whole place out, man. And what does he have to drink after stuffing his gut, pigging it out, engorging himself? Got any more Diet Coke? I think you get my point. I think you do. People are funny. People are really funny. What a crazy species of organisms on the earth. People are probably the stupidest creatures on the earth. I'm convinced of it. I think ants have more intelligence. I know they do. I know they do. Ants have more intelligence. Dolphins certainly do. An orangutan, absolutely. What does that say? I don't know, it takes all kinds, you know what I'm saying? It takes all kinds of people. Look, let people do what they're going to do Unless it affects your life, then you take action. You absolutely do. But let people do what they're going to do. Not everybody's going to have something nice to say about you. That's just life. It's more so on social media, of course, but that's just life, man. You can let this stuff bother you all the time or just kind of laugh with it. And unless something gets that serious, like happened with me, and you have to take some action on it. And you know I will. You know I did. So, yeah, then you have to do what you have to do. But, other than that, just take it lightly and knowing that there's always going to be skeptics out there. There's always going to be antagonists and so forth. You're not going to get away from that, not even if you try. And the only way you could do that is just get off YouTube altogether. That's not an impossibility either. I talk about this stuff a lot, but I ain't off until I'm off. Simple as that. Okay? I'm not off until I'm off. And when I'm off, you'll know about it. Okay? I'm either dead or decisively made a decision. Just get the fuck off here without announcement, without any thought about it at all. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to put myself through this crap again and say, yeah, man, I'm going to get off after this broadcast and I come back on the next day or next week or something. I've done that so many times. It is embarrassing. It actually is. If you're going to get off, you get off. That's what I say. Just get off it, A lot of people have. A lot of people had. They had their fill. And you're not really surrounded by a bunch of wonderful people on here either. Everybody wants to see the worst happen with you. The evil living, not the evil dead, but the evil living. They want to see so much damage to you. They develop a personal gripe and it grows like a snowball, gathering more snow and momentum as it rolls down a hill. That's how it works on here. But then sometimes that snowball comes back and into their face and buries them. You got to think about that too. Not all of them think about that. Oh, nothing's going to happen to me. It ain't going to happen. I'm not going to allow it to happen. Well, you can't think that way because shit does happen. It does. Did I expect Barry's girlfriend to put a complaint on me? No. But it happened. A little bit of money, somebody's pocket here and there to make it happen. That's the way it works. And that's where money comes in. Was it a wise thing she did? Absolutely not. Not at all. We'll see about that, won't we? Okay, guys. She's cooking up something. I just had cereal. She knows I like to get a protein in the morning. I smell eggs or something. That's what I smell. Oh, no, what is she making? She knows, I tell you, she knows what I want all the time. It's just really amazing. I got to say that. She really does come to my needs all the time. Does things I don't even ask her to do. Who could find a better Filipina than that? She ain't my indentured servant, any crap like that. She's my partner in life, man. Till the end. That's it. Yes, I am fortunate. And I'll always say it. And I'll say it 1,000 more times. I am fortunate. I found the right person for me. Not everybody can do that. And showing your partner, wife, whatever she might be, respect is the one thing that you need to do. You could disrespect everybody else, call them every name in the book, do what you want to do. But to your own wife or partner, if you can't show respect to her, you shouldn't be in that relationship at all. And if she puts up with your disrespect, she's just as bad as he is. That ends my show.
Give me the starting position and the end position that I could get to just with these dumbbells at home.
If you properly control your diet and you haven't really lifted weights before, and you're, let's say, 30, 40, 50 years old, in a 6-month time span, we can reliably get you to gain 5 to 10 pounds of muscle. You ever buy 2 to 5 kilos of meat at the store? That's a lot of meat. That's going on your body. And we can reliably get you to lose 5 to 7.5 kilos of fat in a 6-month time frame just by being intelligent about your diet and doing
Life's not easy.
Not easy. You
Not
can't trust
easy.
doctors either. They're all mixed up. You
really
kidding?
think so, huh?
My proctologist used to be a photographer.
Yeah.
Hey, he took x-rays, told me to bend over and say cheese. Low, Johnny.
Oh,
You kidding? I told my wife I want to die in bed. She said, again? Then I'm getting old. I'm not a kid anymore. I know I'm getting old. In Vegas, I played a slot machine. 3 prunes came up. I know I'm getting old. I'm at the age now, if I hear someone goes both ways, I figure it's number 1 and number 2, you know.
Unbelievable, man. All this time, didn't even know I had this. 2 bins of this stuff. Hard to find 100% cacao. I was wondering what they were using. They're making this meal with this chocolate. I don't know what it is. Rice or something. I don't know what it was. Never questioned where it came from. She said, you know, you ordered this stuff a while back. I mean, all this time I've had 100% cacao. And amazingly, I don't know if you know about dark chocolate. It doesn't have much sugars as, you know, milk chocolate, stuff like that. But look at this. There's no sugar in here. There's, oh, Jesus Christ. Watch this. Oh, jeez. Let's see, where did I read this? Total sugars, 0 grams. Includes 0 grams of added sugars. Gotta be kidding me. No sodium, no cholesterol, no trans fat. Holy shit. Seriously, I've had this under my nose. How long did I have this under my nose? I didn't even know. I mean, I ordered it. Maybe I wasn't reading it right, saying special dark 100% cacao. Because I've been looking for candy bars that are dark chocolate, the best thing I could find. The best I could ever find is like 70% cacao. Just 100%. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Now, I don't know if you, and a non-GMO too. 0 grams total sugar, 0 grams sodium, 0 grams saturated fat, 10 calories per tablespoon. What the hell could be better than that? I don't know if you understand about cacao. We call it cocoa. Okay. Well, this is like one of the biggest antioxidants there is. It's hard to find chocolate, you know. I mean, it's out there, you know. You got to know where to buy it. But I've had 2 of these things the whole time. I got one in the cupboard and one I had the refrigerator. They've been using it for the kids themselves too. They make this special thing with the cocoa. And all this time, I've had special dark 100% cacao under my nose, and I didn't even know it. I would have been drinking it every day. In fact, I might want to buy more of this. I got a whole nother tub. You can see how big the tub is. This is an 8-ounce tub. And all this time, I've had this sucker. Wow. Pretty good find. And I'm the one that ordered the damn thing a long time ago, too. It's been in the closet, the cupboard ever since. I said, you kidding me? You're the one that bought it. Maybe I wasn't reading the label right. 100% cacao. Maybe I just thought it was just your typical Hershey's cocoa, you know, which everybody makes. Guess I wasn't reading the label, and this is actually very special. I know, you don't make a big deal out of this, but yeah, if you're going to eat chocolate, you know, eat chocolate. It doesn't have all that sugar in it. Like you buy milk chocolate all the time at the store. It's really hard to find something. What did I have for an early lunch here? Well, you're seeing it. And I had a bowl of Brussels sprouts, a little bit of butter on it. That's what I had, Brussels sprouts for lunch. And, oh, excuse me, it wasn't just that. I had 1 square. It was a Gordon's, actually. It was a fish patty, but it was pure fish. It wasn't all the crap in it, it was, I guess, a cod of some sort, I guess. So I had my little square of fish. I had Brussels sprouts. And I had one of these babies. I made myself a glass with that with almond milk. I'm saying, what the fuck? Seriously? Well, I know I can get a hold of this now. That's really good. Wow. Okay, there you go. As far as an antioxidant, there you go. 100% cacao. That's what you need. That's what you need. Okay, good find. Really good find. Anyway, the sun has come back out again. We had rain showers in the morning. We had our share of moisture. I don't know what the future is here. We are now somewhat into May, first quarter of May. Don't get me wrong, we're getting a lot of humidity and it gets pretty hot out there, but I'll tell you that having a lot of rainfall kind of cleans things up a bit. As long as they pick up the dog shit in the yard. And it kind of cools things down a little bit when it's raining, so that's why I like the rain. I don't mind the rain, especially if I'm not going anywhere. I don't give a shit what it does outside, to be honest with you. It's been pretty quiet out there today. Yeah, I've noticed, though, that I've been automatically just taking my own naps now. I mean, I don't fall asleep. To tell you the truth, my God, I was listening to Philippine Antics, and that'll put you to sleep. I don't know, they were talking about the people got robbed at ATM machine, got killed. And that, yeah, it is a good idea to go to a machine that's inside of the bank or establishment rather than being outside. But, the bank I go to, well, actually, the machine in town, everybody knows me around there, and there's all those businesses right around there. You still got to watch yourself. But the other machine I go to directly at the bank is in Bantayan town, and they have guards right outside, right near the machine. So I don't worry about that at all. But you got to be on guard. I don't normally listen to Philippine Antics. They become more of a variety comedy show or something. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't listen to all the time, but they've just taken it another step with all the editing and everything else. And I've always said, I mean, the editing and time you put into stuff with music and this and that, is it worth it for what you're making per month? I don't know how to answer that, really. If it brings you extra income, it helps you out, then, what the hell? Who am I to say, That's why this channel will never go anywhere. I mean, if I was monetized, I can get monetized, but it's not worth it, Especially when most of the people on my show are trolls. They're not going to send me no money. It's not worth it. It's not really worth it. If I saw I could make some big shit money on here, then sure, it might worth doing, taking all the abuse on here. But there's a price you pay for abuse, You got to ask yourself, is it really worth it, I think that's a mistake a lot of people make. They get carried away with their shows, and they're going to make a lot of enemies as long as they're on there. If they're on a long time, there's always going to be a few naysayers and so forth out there that's going to heckle you or whatever. So in the long run, it's not worth it unless you're making like buku money. Then you don't give a fuck what anybody says, If you're making buku money, attack you all they want. Hey, I'm making all this money. If they're making that kind of money. I mean, if you could make even not even, that's just a lot of money. If you could make $1,000 a month, shit, you can't knock that. $1,000. No, you can't knock that if that's what you're making. A lot of these shows don't make anywhere near that, and they might seem to be very popular and they seem to have all the subs, but they're not all making that big money on here. It takes a lot of work to get a channel going and off, to get enough people to watch, and if you're monetized and contribute and get the advertisers in. Jesus Christ, these people get sponsored. Big channels get sponsored by so many companies. They're making their money from sponsorship. So it's pretty amazing when you think about it. For those shows that manage to get to that level, but that's not the norm. That's not the norm. I understand everybody's effort to try to. It just takes special people to and a special talent, I think. That's why people say, well, I'm surprised you don't got hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Well, it started off okay, but I got at the point I had 13,000. Some of it were bought by somebody, I'm sure, but a lot of it was actually earned, and I don't care what anybody says, but I admitted that somebody out there didn't want me to leave. They were actually buying me subs, which I didn't want anybody to buy me any subs at the time, but I did have quite a few. I don't know where I would be if I had continued going in a certain direction. I have no idea. Again, you have to still ask yourself, is it really worth it? I think in the long run it's not, unless you have the capacity, well, or capability anyway, of making some good money on your show. Then hey, I mean, who can't use extra money, you know? What the hell? Enhance your lifestyle that much more, you know? No argue about that. We're not the kind of attacked by it. And it kind of takes a toll. The trolls take a toll on your channel. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people that like to listen to shows without listening to a bunch of trolls attacking you. But again, you don't have to do a live, and that's the big difference of doing live streaming compared to uploading. I talk about that all the time, but I never stick to my guns on that. Shined up or not, I don't stick to my guns. When I'm saying I'm going to do uploads instead of live streams. I guess it's just pure laziness, because I know to go live, you're instantly on. Otherwise, doing a show, then you got to upload it, and however long a show is, or your upload. I call it a show like it's some performance, but in a way, it's all a performance. It takes a while to upload something, process, and all that stuff. And thank goodness I don't do editing. Then I'd really be out of it. Be nice to have that talent to do that, but I just don't have the talent to do that. I could learn anything, really, but pure laziness sometimes is what it is. I admit it. I'm just, my mind just not like the sponge it used to be and absorb everything. I'm definitely tactile, I can tell you that. Show me how to do something rather than, have to necessarily read it out of a book or an instruction manual. Put the tool in my hand and tell me what to do. That's called being tactile. Learn from doing, not from reading or instructions or whatever. I get more things done that way, actually. All right, what's going on out there? We got 7 watching and 1 thumbs up. Yeah, I wasn't planning on being here that long. I just finished eating, actually. So, oh, there comes the siren, is it? But it sounds so much louder at night. You know why? You can't hear that siren, could you? But at night, toward the end of the day, you would hear that very loud. It's because there's a lot of ambient noise out there during the day that you don't factor in. Traffic from the highway and other factors. And otherwise, that siren will be blasting here. You'll hear it at 5 o'clock when it goes off, or in the morning, actually. But at lunchtime, you know the siren's out there, but it's really doesn't sound that loud. It's amazing what ambient noise could actually do to a loud siren like that. There we go. Now it's ending a bit. You probably never even heard it, did you? Okay. Okay, nothing special to talk about except that you can buy, if you really like the taste of chocolate, cacao, and you don't want all the sugar. This is a freebie here, man. This is all my stuff is freebies on here. You can buy it, and I believe I ordered that on Lazada. And I'll show you that again. I will show you that again. It's Hershey's cocoa, but they always call it cocoa. It's from the cacao bean. Special dark, 100% 100% cacao. There is no sugar in here, believe it or fucking not. All this time I've had this in the cupboard and I had no idea. Wow, it's processed to neutralize the natural acidity of cocoa, give it a milder taste and darker color. Just amazing. Hershey's. Well, they are a chocolate company. And look at the stats on here. Serving size of 1 tablespoon. 0, only half a gram of fat. No saturated fat. No trans fat. No cholesterol. No sodium. Only 3 grams of carbs. 2 grams of dietary fiber. Total sugars 0. And the very important one, and the added sugars 0. Protein 1 gram. It does have, let me see, no vitamin D, there's some little bit of iron. There is some potassium in there and some calcium, 10 milligrams. Not a bad thing to have. And by Hershey's, good old Hershey's. Not bad, huh? You can buy this on Lazada. I really don't remember what it cost. But I just had a glass of that. And what's so special about dark chocolate again? Well, the higher the cacao, amount, percentage, it's just loaded with the most incredible antioxidants you could ever believe. It even outdoes blueberries. My blueberries, I still don't have them yet. I will though soon. Because my lovely has to make a trip to Cebu. It's voting time. She has to vote in her district where she was living initially. Can't vote locally here. And I don't know if you noticed, but it's actually mandatory. They'll fuck you up. They'll fuck you up if you don't vote out here. It's mandatory that you vote out here. It's not like in America, you want to vote or you don't want to vote, you don't give a shit. They're not going to punish you for it, but I don't know what they do out here. You may not get Social Security benefits or something, or in the future or something, but they find a way to screw you over out here. Isn't that just totally amazing? You should be the one that makes the choice of whether you want to vote or not. Never heard anything like that in my life. But that's what they do here. Okay, I got to get off here, ladies and germs. And I got a chore that I need to fulfill while I can. And I got to get some supplies here. I think they're all going away on a weekend. The whole brood. The brood is leaving for the lovely Cebu. But I can't go because I have to watch the dogs. Having pets is nice, but sometimes it can get in the way for some stuff. But I'll never, I'm very glad I do have. I don't know, while the cat's away, the mice will play. Maybe not with me, it won't. I don't do that kind of shit. Anyway, I got to get off here. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. You can get the 100% cacao, call it cocoa, okay, from Hershey's, from Lazada. You can order that. And if you really give a shit, I don't know, if you like chocolate drink, here's you're going to get your major antioxidants that you need right here from this stuff that I just showed you. It's good shit. And don't overindulge in anything like that, but there's no reason you can't have a glass of that a day. If you want more protein, just add milk if you happen to drink cow's milk, which I don't. Generally cow's milk I don't directly drink. It might come in a different product as cheese or whatever, but I choose to drink almond milk. And that's what I do. And it is readily available in town. I guess it's become a popular item because they keep on stocking the shelf with it, because I'm one of the people who's always buying it. And that's the way stores will work. If the product is selling, they'll replace it when it's off the shelves, there's nothing there, and they will Indeed, take stock of their inventory, take a look and see what's selling and what's not. And fortunately, that does sell. Hell, we're even getting some fresh chicken eggs around here. We don't raise chickens, but in the yard next to us, just put our hand through there. Chicken's been laying a few eggs now and then. No, we don't depend on the chicken eggs there. We go to the store to get it. But we get a few free eggs here and there from the chickens. Can't get fresher than that. I don't eat as many eggs as you might think I do. At most 2 eggs a day. Sometimes I don't have any. I might just have oatmeal or something. Or some kind of closely related cereal that I could find, which is very hard. But I think oatmeal is your best bet if you want to eat fruit. There's sugar in fruit, but it's coming from a natural source. It's a little bit better. You know, get your blueberries, strawberries, whatever your fruit is that you like, mango, and you got a good meal. There's nothing wrong with oatmeal at all. But you got to get either the steel cut or the rolled or the whole grain rolled oat, and that's what I got. And Quaker makes it. Quaker does make that, and that's what I usually buy when I see it around. That's the kind you'll need to buy. Hey, I'm giving you this free advice out here. We're not monetized. You know, take it or leave it. You know, like I said, maybe it's my own reinforcement why I even talk about it, but if it works for me, it could work for you, but a lot of people will continue to eat the shit they eat all the time. Look, there's no benefit in me giving my audience information. It doesn't benefit me at all for you. But some of the things I do, I mean, it's kept me alive this long. I must be doing something right. And I'm just going to keep up in that direction. But I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell anybody what to do. I'm not even my own girlfriend. I can't tell her what to do, what to eat, how to eat, because they're going to do what they want. That's that's interfering with your. It's a cultural thing. What they've been doing since they were a baby. You're not going to tell them to stop eating rice. That just is not going to happen. It's never going to happen in a million years. I'm not saying that they can't eat rice. It's just not the best thing to eat every single day. I even have some rice now and then as a filler or something, but I wouldn't say if I have a short plate on something, you know, something needs to be filled in with this, I'll have a couple of scoops of rice or something on there, but I don't go overboard. But when it comes to potatoes, though, well, that's my soft point, you know. I mean, I love mashed potatoes. Nobody's going to hold me back from mashed potatoes or roasted potatoes in the oven with a roasted chicken. That is the best. I always look forward. You can't find what you call big birds out here. That's how the local talk. They sell, Magnolia is a popular company, and they sell these really small chickens. It's not enough for a number of people. They're really small. They don't wait till they grow up. Every now and then they get the larger chickens in, and you just use the local language, say, do you have any big birds today? Do you have any big birds? Yeah. You know, and usually it's no, but occasionally they do have them in. They're a decent size that could feed a family of 4. But these little ones, you have to buy 2. And these things go for like $255 per kilo. Approximately, that's what they're selling. Thank you for the other thumbs up. They're selling for $255 at least per kilo. And eggs are not cheap anymore either out here. Now, I cut my bread out. I'm very happy to say. I cut the bread. It doesn't mean I won't have any bread in the near future. But, I mean, I got a whole loaf of bread. These kids go through bread. She goes through bread. They have coffee, you know, bread with coffee. The kids eat bread like it's going out of style. One thing we do buy a lot around here is a big old bottle of Skippy's peanut butter. And don't get me wrong, it has oils in there, it has different things in there, but all in all, it's not bad. It's got a decent amount of protein in there. And it has the unsaturated fats. And there's the kind of fats that your body needs and it's going to benefit from. That's why I eat peanut butter. But the other thing about peanut butter is between meals, it kind of satiates you. It really keeps you going between meals. So I'll take the bottle and I'll take a couple of good scoops out of that. And I used to put it on bread, and I'm not even doing that anymore. And it really keeps you going to your next meal. So that's what works for me, because you're getting some goodness out of that too, between the proteins and the kind of fats. You know, it's unsaturated fats and other good stuff in there too. I'm sure there are better brands than Skippy. If you get the really natural stuff, I don't know, it's very oily. Some people like that. The oil goes on the surface, you'll see the oil. But then again, it's nothing better than fresh peanut butter that you could take yourself. You got a grinder thing, and you can make that and get the peanuts and do it yourself. That's good too. No, I say another thing that's really good: cashew butter. I've had that, and it's not really bad. You look around, they even got pistachio. You don't see this around too often, but they do have it. It's really not bad. Okay, I gotta go here. I guess I'm on at an odd time. Thought I'd show you this cocoa stuff, and yes, you can get it at Lasada. All this time I had this around here. Okay, that's all I got to say. I gotta run some errands. Dead men tell no lies. Well, one of the unfortunate things that happens in the Philippines, which is something that is really looked down on, but it does happen, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen in any other countries, but it definitely happens here in the Philippines. Many times documented that bus drivers who hit a cyclist or motorcyclist will basically, if they know they're at fault, they will try to make sure that the person doesn't live through this little adventure, because dead men tell no lies. There's no story that can come from a man that's dead. There's been incidents where, documented incidents where a bus driver has purposely gone right back over the person that they hit to make sure they were dead. And why they do that, they don't want to lose their job, and they don't want the company to have to pay for hospital expenses. So there's no hospital expenses if the person is dead. And that's what actually happens in the Philippines. I know it's kind of disheartening to hear something of this nature, but that does happen out here. There was 2 accidents this past week right on the highway. And this might have happened. This was a serious bust again. The guy could have been more in his 20s or 30s. He's dead. He didn't survive it. Now, I don't know all the story. This could have been another incident of such. Yes, this actually does happen in the Philippines. It's a commonplace thing. The driver don't want to lose his job, because if the company, if they find him at fault, he'll lose his job because, well, somebody has to pay for the hospital expenses and or burial expenses, actually. So many times a bus driver will hit somebody again and run over them to make sure they don't survive to tell their story. And hopefully there's nobody else around to witness it. But I hate to sugarcoat things. I certainly don't try to. And I'm not sugarcoating this. This is actually something that actually happens in the Philippines. No shit. Indeed, that's the way you work it, folks. When there's money involved, take the case. Well, boys, I think we got to call old Abo Man out, don't you think? I'm thinking it's time. I'll make a deal with you, Abo Man. The next time you're in Cebu, let me know when you're going to be there. You said a few naughty little things about me, and you can continue to do so, but the thing is, you're saying kind of some naughty things about my girlfriend. Now, I would just love to see you be a brave little abo and stand in front of my girlfriend and me and say some of the things that you said to me and some of the things that you might have said about her. That's my challenge. No cameras, nothing. Next time you're in Cebu, I'll be there. Let me know where. We'll be in a public place. No cameras, none at all. And why don't you say those things that you say to me to my face once and for all? Once and for all. No, wait a minute. We need an uninterested party with a camera to prove it went down. So it has to be a third party involved with this. I think so. Proof of the pudding. To see how brave you really are, Abo Man. That's my challenge. That's my challenge. Instead of you talking shit about me and my girlfriend, why don't you write it to my face and see what happens? After all, you said I'm a frail old man. It shouldn't bother you, right? You're a tough Abo Man, aren't you? Shouldn't be no worries for you, right? That's the deal. That's the deal. And if I don't meet up with you, then I'm a coward. That's a strong statement. You let me know when you're going to be in Cebu. Let me know exactly when. I'll be there. Give me a couple of days ahead to advance my planning on where I'm going to stay. Get settled in. You name a time and a place, and I want to see how brave you are. Whether you could kick my ass or it's the other way around. Okay. As I said, we'll have a third kind of uninterested party that'll take video for the record. For the record, not my own personal camera. Nope, not Gilda's camera. Maybe a family member or somebody we could have come down there. And they could do the video, and they could always transfer it over to me. For purpose of public record, to see what a coward you actually are. Only for that purpose. No police involved. No personal cameras involved. Just next time you're in Cebu, Big Mouth, Abo Man, put your money where your mouth is. Meet up with me, this frail old man, and say some of the things you said to me, and you've been saying about me, and also say a few of those choice things to my girlfriend. And let's just see what takes place. Got you curious? Let's do it and get it over with. I could be in Cebu in a moment's time. Just let me know when you're coming down. I'm doing this public, so you can't back out. No police involved, no police hiding in the background, no immigration officers, nothing like that. No personal cameras of my own or yours. Just another party with a camera to have it on record to see what you do when you approach me face to face and approach my girlfriend face to face. You think I'm kidding? Try me. You've been saying a lot of shitty things lately about me. You've been continuing to trash me and basically trashing my girlfriend. That's where I draw the line. Always have. She could beat the shit out of you. She could beat the shit out of you. No, I don't need her there to protect me. And no, Jay, the reason when I go to Cebu for any kind of business that she comes with me is because I happen to love her. I like being with her. And she has a mother that's 89 years old that she has to take the opportunity to visit while she's in Cebu. How's that for an answer, you piece of shit? I actually like being with her because she's not a fucking reusable scumbag as you treat women the way you do. She's not a dildo that you punch on the shower wall. She's a real woman. You wouldn't know anything about that. Because you can't get a steady woman no matter how hard you try. Even your money's no good in that department. Your money is no good in that department. But you've been running your mouth quite a bit there, Abo man. You've been running, I've been recording everything you're saying. That I could use in the future. I already got the thing out where you're putting up a fraudulent piece of paper. That's enough to fuck you up in immigration as it is. I do a lot behind the scenes, Mr. Abo man. You'd be surprised. Or maybe you weren't. But that's the deal. Next time you're in Cebu, it'll be a last minute thing. Nobody's to be informed. Nobody, just you and me. Okay? But I'm going to have Gilda there. I'm going to have her there because I want you to say some of those choice things you said about her to her face. And let's see if we can get a reaction. What do you think about that, Abo man? Another senseless intimidation. Got an email from a person who says that a civil case that happened 3 years ago in Hawaii, judgment, that they're going to attach my award from the courts regarding Barry Jordan's case to try to do an attachment to the funds. Well, again, hate to disappoint, but no cigar. No, they can't do that. My lawyer said that's a bunch of senseless nonsense. They're not going to cross international lines to go retrieve money on a civil judgment in another country. Civil, not criminal. End of story. Nice intimidation, nice rumors, but not going to happen. Just to let you know. Thank you very much.